with the streets that deal with our issues in our community. So now that he is the railroad president, I'm coming to see you too, because these are the ones that hold our elected officials accountable. So I'll be coming to see you too, Aaron. But where do we bring everybody together? Because this election wasn't about it. It was you, government building across the board. Something that wasn't easily accomplished. The advocacy in the streets made that a reality. So, how do you express this dramatic victory to the community?
I think really, talent comes from, and I believe that we should recognize that. And so I think residents are going to have to I have to inject a little forward.
This is February. And in the coming months, we need people organized to mobilize. I'm going to say it again. Organized to mobilize. It's very important. There's too many things going on in our community. You can no longer ignore it. That being said, let's get to our next call of action, which is an interesting one. I made this picture. You could barely see it. The young brother that drew it for me, I promised him one day that I would actually present it to the people, a judge, a defendant, and a stenographer, and a witness in a court room, and to highlight the possibilities of this individual ended up incarcerated. That brings us to our next story. Never stand down. That was the statement that was made on the top of this. It says, never stand down. This was October the 2nd, 2006 that he actually did this. He drew this for me. And it says, never stand down. Meaning, recently there has been a host of current events that have taken place in our community regarding NYPD, law enforcement all over the world. Now, the stop and frisk issue, which was fought and won, basically has been ignored. But the police commissioner Bratton recently just came up with some new stuff. I mean, he wants to actually make resisting arrest a felony. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have to start there. You want to make resisting arrest a felony. Be mindful of the fact that resisting arrest at this time is basically only a violation. And the reason why resisting arrest is a violation because it is an actual excuse for law enforcement when they can no longer actually justify their actions to now say that you have indeed committed a crime that you didn't commit. It's a defense mechanism that is used by law enforcement to cover or to delay any immediate ratification for wrongdoing on their part. In so many words, this is what resisting arrest really stands for. It's a vague law on the books that should have never been there in the first place. But Police Commissioner Bratton would like to make that a felony in and of itself. Wow. Really, a felony. This goes from one extreme to the next when you start talking law enforcement. It is not just law enforcement here in the city. He went to make legislation. He went to legislators to have legislators change the law. This is alarming. If a New York City police commissioner has the ability to go and insist that legislators change the laws, what's wrong with you? In a neighborhood where law enforcement has clearly claimed the lives of far too many innocent victims, you will allow them to push for legislation to make something illegal legal. Wow. I also caution you, they have just lost the stop and frisk law in federal court. it's been proven to be unconstitutional. Guidelines and rules and regulations are scheduled to be enforced as a result of the unconstitutional activities of in question NYPD alone. NYPD. At what point does the citizen get justice for criminal activity caused upon him or her by the New York City Police Department? And why is it that law enforcement is afforded such overzealous violations of the law? Ladies and gentlemen, we really need to recognize the reality of these situations. For weeks, there was a beef between the mayor and the New York City Police Department. All of this came right after one incident, and nobody wants to accept that reality. That incident was the actual legal standing of stop and frisk being enforced. At the present time, the judge was in process of actually just coming off of getting them to put it back on the books. They gunned for the judge who said that it was basically unconstitutional. They delayed it for another 6 months to damn near a year. Right after that was squashed and it was out the way, the unions immediately stepped in and said they're going to fight it anyway, against the mayor's best interests. They lost that battle. Right after that took place, immediately 2 officers are executed. The tension is removed from that. Now all the people are in support of NYPD all over again. Shortly after they got back the support of the people, after downsizing the development of the city of New York by not actually doing their jobs, mind you, they didn't do their jobs for weeks, proving that their actual beneficial purpose in the city of New York is to make money. Then they went away from that and came back to this to hit at the legislators to say, listen, we're entitled to a law on the books that will protect our officers. And all this is after the unions, Pat Lynch, lost their battles. Literally. We are confronted with a serious issue here today. This issue hints that law enforcement is clearly independent of any jurisdiction from government that we could actually put forth. They are too powerful at this present time. They need to be put on a leash. And only ones that can do that is legislation. Your elected officials are the only ones that could put these officers in check. And I'm not going to say that our elected officials are blind to the fact. I'm welcoming you to come on the show and tell me otherwise. Tell your constituents otherwise. As to the objective opinion which we have placed right here on this show, that officers are clearly too powerful in the city of New York. And mind you, not only the city of New York, all over the United States. Because when them 2 officers was executed here in New York City, they bus loaded officers from all over the state that wanted to come to their funerals. I don't see nobody else getting that type of privilege in their duties as a result of their jobs. They neglected the fact that 2 Afro-American officers was killed no less than 2 years ago in the same capacity while working on the job. They got nowhere near the support and publicity of these 2 officers that was executed in the streets of New York, surrounding the mere fact that everybody was fighting and fuming over the Eric Garner and the Mike Brown situation. Leading us to, do we have the right or the action to continue to march or protest in that capacity? After that clear-cut indictment was denied to the people and marches took place, there was even a rift amongst activists as to what the next step should be going forward. Marching, in my opinion, was not the next. No, that's not the next step. Not at that point. Not at that level. Not when you have law enforcement clearly being admonished for their actions in federal court and giving legislative laws, rules, and regulations to which they would have to follow as a result of their actual or their misconduct or their failure to act appropriately in the line of their duties. Now, this is the objective opinion. I have a note to all my elected officials. Before anybody stands up and speaks or stand up and say regarding the New York City Police Department or law enforcement in general, anything other than the reality of what has taken place after countless innocent bystanders have been executed. Families go through the judicial process and receive no justice. You had best to think. This is well over bedtime. Far, far way out of whack. We no longer can accept it. And we have to have something more than a brief statement from individuals that engage in it with no retribution to the community for it. This is Akeem Abdul-Adel for the Objective Opinion. It's one to grow on. Assalamu alaikum.
Turn up! It's on! Told you I'll be back. Tell me when you see your hat. You see your hat? She caught it. She caught it. It said happy. Where y'all from, ladies?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Steelers, baby!
We got Pennsylvania in the house.
Hey, brother! Happy birthday, baby Chick! Steelers! Hey!
So is this your first time doing this?
Yes.
You never been to New York before?
I come to New York to Times Square every week.
Not to Times Square?
No.
I'm on camera.
I come to New York every week.
Every week?
Yeah.
You work out here.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
You chasing that paper.
Definitely.
I ain't mad at you, girl. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. But I'm gonna ask y'all the same question I just asked her about this daggone violence in our communities. Now, I said when the other boy got shot that they should stop marching and start protesting in a different way. The way I suggested was that all Afro-Americans should stop work for one day. What y'all think?
What, to stand up for our rights so people can stop the violence for no apparent reason? I'm for it. Yeah.
The point behind that would be that you would actually you would stop all economic development and growth in that community for a whole day. And that would be devastating to their economy. And if every state did it, you ain't had to lift a finger to make it happen.
Right. Take it back to the Martin Luther King days.
Hallelujah. I thought they would never believe me. I thought the people would never see it.
Well, we need to stand up and fight and put the gun down.
Thank you, ladies. You enjoy your day, and I hope to see you again. Remember, go to ojopinion.net and see all your elected officials. And remember, we got the power to vote.
Exactly. Do it. I voted.
Unity, baby, in our community. Peace. Turn up. Turn up. Hey. I found found some men in the crowd. And you wouldn't believe I've been looking at this crowd for a minute and found nothing but women. But now I got some men on deck. My brothers, peace. What's up, my brother? Hold on. I gotta do the hood thing. What? Come on, just what's up, my brother? Now look at here. We're gonna ask our brothers the same thing we asked the sisters a minute ago. Hold on, I gotta put this down. In our community, Afro-American males and females have been assassinated for one reason or another, but it's always a senseless killing. So, for the men, what do you think we as men have to do to change this stigma in our community?
I didn't hear what you said.
Afro-American males have been executed at an alarming rate far too many times, unjustifiably. At the time, there's a division in our community. How do we resolve that problem from the men's perspective?
Well, first off, we need to stop killing each other. That's what we need to do. That's the main thing. Really and truly, how are we gonna expect people to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? That's all I gotta say on it, because I sit by that, I stand by that. That's all I gotta say.
And he's right. That's Tony Herbert. That's his standpoint. Herbert got that same standpoint. You, my brother.
I feel the same way he feel.
Uh-oh, we got 2 for 3. 2 for 3. Come on, bro. What you got?
See, it's the team thing right here, man. I feel the same way he do. You know what I'm saying?
I got team unity. I got team unity on deck here. Now watch this.
Louisiana, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, y'all from Louisiana? Get the heck out of here. Damn, man. I'm from New York. You know, I get around, but I ain't get to Louisiana yet. Yeah? It's nice, huh? Yeah. Listen, look. OJ Opinion. Go to my website, send me a link. I'd have no problem coming. I just don't. I don't. I go all over the place. I get around. But now we're going to deal with this issue in our community. Now, hold up. Y'all said that we need to stop the violence in our own communities. Now, I got to look at my history. You know, Malcolm, Martin, all of them came up and said that we should always be self-centered and protect ourselves and also protect each other. There should always be unity in our community. But they never did tell us how to establish that unity in our community, that our youth could pick up and follow. It's easy to say that we shouldn't attack each other. It's easy to say that we shouldn't attack law enforcement. It's hard as hell to give the people a roadmap to make that a reality.
Hashtag would have to be.
Let me give you some incentive. Let me give you some incentive. They keep taking the fathers away. Wow! Do you know that Barack Obama put $1.5 billion on the table for African American males? Did any of y'all know that? Where's that money? The Republicans is holding it up. That's why you can't get it. That's where that money is right now. The Republicans stifled that growth. But we're not going to get on the negative. We want to stay on the positive. In our community, when this is...
Let's talk about some grown people. He's on his master's, I'm on my master's. He already got his 2 degrees. That's positive.
Exactly.
Exactly. We need more people like us in the world.
I got so many of y'all in the world right now, but I still don't got no improvement.
Hey, you're right.
It's a progress, man. You know what I'm saying? It take time. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, and it's up to people like us to set examples.
Like he said, you know, you got to just keep building. Everybody's out.
You do realize I'm going to make y'all come out with the truth about this, right? Because watch this, our ancestors and our youth, futures and lives are at stake at this present point. Now, I had to pull somebody's coat about this a long time ago. I said, no, listen, I can stand here and I could tell you that, yeah, my college degree got me this, it got me that. But when I walk out my front door, my brother standing there ain't got jack. My sister down the block still getting beat up by her man. My other sister across town still can't get a job. There's some stigma in our society that continue to persist and haunt us. So, I said I got to look at real hard solutions to resolve these issues.
Everybody got problems in every race and every demographic. They got people in third world countries right now that can't get running order. So, I mean, they got problems all over the world. It's 2014, it's about to be a brand new year. We're just trying to party, have a good time, and enjoy ourselves.
2015.
2015, when it's coming in. That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to have a good time. We're trying to set the bar high. We're trying to have great expectations for 2015. We want to make this the best year yet. So that's what we out here for. We just, you know.
How are we going to do this?
we're just having all positive vibes. It's starting the mind. Whatever you believe, you know what I'm saying? The mind of a man could achieve, you know what I'm saying? Like Napoleon Hill said, whatever you believe in, achieve.
We can do whatever we set our minds to do. And he right. He right. But we got to keep pushing everybody amongst us to do the same thing.
That's why we here at this point in time. With them.
Unity within our community.
You know it. Always. That's the thing, my man. Nice to meet you.
And there you have it. You need unity within your community, and you keep pushing for the higher level. 2015 is coming in, and we're gonna turn it up. Turn it up! Peace!
In the month of January going into February, there have been many events planned. Those events that were planned were highlighting rent laws in our community and the fact that rent laws are subject to change this June up in Albany. We really need to become more aware and more alert. Our elected officials came out at a gathering located in Brooklyn and basically rung the alarm for all rent stabilized or New York City housing, NYCHA and the LACs, for affordable housing individuals to get involved. My question is, what is really affordable nowadays in New York? Rent is extremely outrageously high, and like one politician said, rent is too damn high many moons ago. And many people heard him, but then they didn't hear him. It was the ongoing alarm that was sound as a result of a current rent study rising slowly throughout the years. And he started that campaign in 1999, if many can remember correctly. But these elected officials came out, you know, Eric Adams, Cory Booster, Hamilton, with a host of other individuals to this event, a call to action by your senators. And if you missed it, you know, don't be alarmed by it, because now only thing I'm going to do is give you the insight on what exactly took place at that particular event so that you may be better informed. So it was a traumatic outcome. You know, a lot of people came out, but these are the regular individuals that came out. People like from Community for Change, unions, you know, people that normally come out to these gatherings. Nevertheless, the community has yet to get involved. So we encourage the community to get involved on these issues. It is very important that you become alert and actually activated. And how can you do that? By contacting your local official in your community, going to your local boards. That will be community boards. Whatever your community board number is, you need to find out where your community board is located, who's your local council member, senator, and then you need to get involved with these people. You need to hold them accountable because you put them in office. So if you don't hold them accountable for their actions in the streets, then there will be no cause for redress for the concerns that you are about to be confronted with in the near future. Don't think that it doesn't affect you. It does. So we're going to get into this clip real quick. There was a gathering meeting that I went to for the Crown Heights Tenants Union. This is a new non-for-profit, apparently, or a new organization that spurred out of nowhere, stating they want to fight for the rights of tenants. Ironically, these people are well organized, and they're attempting to basically organize Crown Heights around the rent increase issue, which is a good thing. However, they failed to neglect that they are also a part of the gentrification package that's also coming into the community that we must be mindful of and aware. Now, in Brooklyn, if you're a Brooklynite, you have a Brooklyn birth certificate to prove it. If you don't, that means you moved into the community and you're assessing that you are a part of the community. Well, in all reality, you're trying to bring about a new community, meaning that you will fight for new rules and regulations. And at the end of the day, where you may appear to be friendly, you end up outskirting people that's been here for years. And then you try to play it off like that's really not an issue, but it is. So, with that being said, we're going to get into this brief clip real quick of what Mr. Hamilton, who's also fighting for a young lady up in New York City housing, where they put NYCHA on notice after attempting to evict an old woman for $500, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to let them explain it to you. It's better that they explain it, because if I explain it, I'm going to get a little upset, because my mother went through the same scenario, and this is what they're doing today. So it's imperative that you get involved. Wow. After all these years, they just want to push you out of the community. Gentrification is a reality. It's not a game. Pay attention.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jesse Hamilton, New York State Senator, and we're here in Brownsville today to highlight the egregious acts of NYCHA against the residents in our community. Ms. Carmen Mateus has been here for 30 years. Imagine living in the building for 30 years, paying your rent for 30 years, and someone trying to evict you for $581. That's unconscionable. It's an egregious act by the New York City Housing Authority. But before we go forward, there was a woman, Shelley Kelly, who lived in this building. And she died in 2006 in the fire in this building, which shows the unsafe conditions that we have in NYCHA, faulty elevators, dim lit stairwells, and we just want respect for the people who live here. So let's have a moment of silence for Ms. Shelley Kelly before we proceed. Thank you. I want to say shame on you, NYCHA. Shame on you, NYCHA. Ms. Carmen Mateus has been living here for 30 years. 30 years paying her rent, being a vibrant person in the community, working with children in the community, being a daycare worker for so many years. She's a person who took care of the children in this community, and for not paying $581, they're ready to evict her. And this is a common theme of NYCHA throughout Brownsville, throughout many neighborhoods in New York City, where they're aggressively trying to kick out long-term tenants for no reason at all. Someone who's lived there for 30 years should own the apartment. She had a mortgage, she will own the apartment. And that's why I'm always for affordable ownership rather than affordable housing. And the Brownsville Partnership, thanks for their help keep Carmen Mateus in her apartment. Thanks to Brian here and work with the Brownsville Partnership, we fought NYCHA and we said no. No to evicting long-term seniors who rely on housing. No one should be living in fear in a place they've been living at for 30 years.
To stay in their community, that makes Brownsville just that much stronger. And that's even more another reason why it's important that we address the issues that are taking folks and having NYCHA trying to move them out. So I know Ms. Mateus doesn't want to speak, but she's a remarkable woman, and y'all should speak with her because she's really the story here. She's a great person, and she's an inspiration. You know, her resilience is really something that we all should look at. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Your name and affiliation.
Sure. My name is Brian Wall, and I work at the Brownsville Partnership, which is an initiative of community solutions, and we work with NYCHA tenants here in Brownsville.
Thank you.
Attorney, he has agreed to give you free legal advice. My office and the office of Latrice Walker will also be assisting you in whatever we can do with the Brownsville Partnership and Brian. And also we have Alika from Latrice Walker's office. Something with Latrice Walker, so I'll say a couple of words.
Good morning, everyone. I just want the public to know that for one of the first times in Brownsville history, we actually have two new representatives in Senator Jesse Hamilton and Assemblywoman Latrice Walker, who knows exactly what NYCHA residents are going through because they themselves have lived in NYCHA developments. So I just really want everyone to know that we really do have a level of support that we haven't had in a very long time, so that Ms. Mateus and her neighbors and the rest of the Brownsville community actually have leaders who care about them. So thank you, and we're